Hello lovers of the world, this is Xinzhi speaking. Welcome to Music and Monthlies. This is my series where I summarize all the projects I listen to for the first time, while I scrapbook to both summarize what happened in my life that last month and prepare for the next one. So today we're summarizing the music that I listened to from the month of February and planning for March. This is a couple of days late. I did originally plan to release this earlier, but the night that I recorded the voiceover, I realized that something went wrong with my software and it didn't record, so big sad. But we're here now and we have a lot to get through, so let's get into it. I listened to I'm Not Cool by Hyuna. I found this EP pretty underwhelming. I had high expectations because this is Hyuna's first project since she left Cuba Entertainment, and I had hoped she would showcase a side of herself that she may not have had the chance to when she was at her previous company. But I found this project kind of boring. The title track is slowly getting under my skin. I even went so far as to learn the choreography for the chorus. But otherwise, I find the rest of it kind of, like I said, underwhelming, and I did hope a bit more from Hyuna. Then I listened to Oregon's Deluge by Priscilla Ermel. This was recommended to me by the Needle Drop, and I listened to this for the sake of listening to new music, basically. I listened to this way more than I thought I would. I expected to just listen to it in one go and then kind of forget about it, but I found that I kept coming back to it every time I played League, which is a really interesting choice of, I guess, gaming background music. And then I listened to this volume called Panzori with Gayagum, performed by An Sukson and An Okson. I hope I pronounced those right. Basically, while I was doing my research for the upcoming Sopyeonjae video, I thought I should listen to actual Panzori music while doing it. And this was the first project I found on Spotify when I looked up Panzori. And listening to this project kind of just confirmed what I already knew, that I liked Panzori history and the cultural discourse surrounding it way more than the actual genre. But maybe I would change my mind if I was actually in the same room as these Panzori performers and not just listening to it in a digital streaming service. After all, the point of Panzori is that it's a performance genre, not just a music genre. So then I listened to Nacht by Elif. This album was another failed attempt at trying to get into German music. I've been trying to get into German music for a while, especially because I've been wanting to kind of brush up on it again. I did learn German in high school for a while, but I haven't really been practicing actively, so my grasp on the language is very weak. And I thought that listening to the music of the language that you're learning is the best way of motivating yourself to learn that language. But I find that I still struggle to find any German musicians I like. Maybe the people I find on Spotify just aren't for me. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. Mention them in the comments. I'm sure there's a German-speaking artist out there that is making music that would speak to me, but I'm struggling to find them and kind of need your guys' help for me to find them. Then I listened to No Dogs Allowed by Sydney Gish. And boy do I love this album. Sydney Gish is a great songwriter. She's truly really funny and really hilarious. The quirky production paired with her witty lyrics creates an atmosphere akin to a eccentric coming-of-age indie film. I love the way the lyrics flow as if they're coming directly from her stream of consciousness. It's a great album and I've awarded it the best find of the month. And then I listened to Voice, The Future Is Now by Victor. I don't really typically listen to a lot of boy groups, but I've been trying to get into them because my friends are into them and I want to participate in their conversations. But boy, do I hate this title track. What I said is just not good. I'm sure it's for someone else out there, but I disliked it so much that honestly, if I had listened to it on my own and nobody was there to kind of like motivate or encourage me to listen to the album, I probably would have just kept avoiding Victon, like as I have been doing for the past few years since they debuted. But I did listen to the album and fortunately it is a lot better. compared to the title track. It has lots of great songs, and it's a pretty decent album. If I gave out rankings, I would grade this a 6 out of 10. It's cohesive enough that it's above average, but it's a little too sanitized and too polished for me, and it doesn't really have a personality that I can find or sink my teeth into. And then I listened to Cherry Rush by Cherry Bullet. Love So Sweet is a great title track. I really liked it, and I was really excited seeing that they had returned to a cute concept, because I absolutely hated their past two singles. Hands Up, I hated it, and Aloha Oi, I found a little problematic. If you watched my video for 2020 K-pop summer comebacks, you can find more of my opinions there. So after hearing those songs, hearing Love So Sweet is actually such a relief. It's cute, it's well made, but the rest of the EP in comparison is underwhelming. It's for sure the best song out of the EP, because none of the other tracks stood out to me otherwise. I was hoping that with such a promising title track that they would actually deliver something more in their first official EP, but regardless, despite the lackluster quality, I'm still pretty hopeful for the future of Cherry Bullet, considering that they do have quite a bit of a fan base. And then I listened to Shin Jong-hyun and Yupjuns by Shin Jong-hyun. Now, this was an interesting glimpse into classic Korean rock music. It's not typically something I would listen to, but I do want to explore a bit more. The album that I listened to on Spotify could be of a better quality. Something about it just doesn't translate well into a digital format. So I'm hoping that the other albums I listen to are at least mastered better. And then I listened to Breakfast for Pathetics by Tired Lion. This is really good. It's a pretty standard pop-punky grungy rock album, but it's solid and well produced, and I like the lyrics. Alongside this band and Slowly, I'm beginning to wonder what the rest of the Aussie punk scene holds for me. And I think if I had heard this in time, it might have been a contender for my Albums of 2020 list. And then I listened to Mechanic Phylum by Mouse on the Keys. So the band lives up to its name, Mouse on the Keys, with this post-rock project, because it sounds exactly like Mouse on the Keys. This EP is disorienting, but in a really good way. I wouldn't recommend listening to this if you needed to concentrate, like studying or reading something, because I got dizzy while trying to multitask with my assigned literature, and yeah, I felt disoriented. Like I said, I still liked it though. I would recommend this if you were looking to get a feel for more experimental genres. Like, sure, this is unconventional if this isn't really your type of music, but it's pleasant enough that there's a good chance you'd still have fun listening to it if you've just come fresh off the boat from the top 40s chart. And then I listened to We've Sobered Up by Seisumi. This band was recommended to me by a guest lecturer who came over to give a lecture for my summer school class. He wrote a few papers about K-pop, but a bit more on Korean punk rock music, so after class I just asked him for some recommendations because I was interested in broadening my horizons, especially in regards to Korean music. I was planning to email him to tell him what I thought about the music that he recommended, but I took too long to listen to his recommendations until eventually it had been so long that it would have been awkward if I did email him. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to meet him in the future and maybe we can have like a little chat about it. But regardless, I really do like this album. Again, it's a pretty standard punk album, but it's well made and it's pleasant to hear. Some of the more upbeat tracks are even enough to get you to dance, so I definitely recommend it. And then I listened to Chapter 0, Hello Strange Dream EP by Six. I love the title track Cinema. It's chill and it's a little unconventional for a boy group to have as their title track because it's so soft, sensitive, and emotive, but I really hope it's a sound that they pursue more in the future. It's definitely different to what all the other boy groups are doing nowadays, which I really appreciate. But the rest of the EP is kind of underwhelming, so that's kind of a downside. And then I listened to Season 3 Hideout, Be Our Voice by Gravity. What is up with this name? It's a long ass name. Anyway, similar to the 6 EP, I also love the title track. My Turn is about The lyrics are innovative, and it offers, I think, a really interesting take on the confident, masculine bravado that boy groups tote around these days. I'm kind of impressed considering it does lean into the more experimental side, and I wasn't really expecting that from a group that isn't NCT, if I'm gonna be honest. I am personally intrigued at their decision to make My Turn their title track, and given how it does not sound like something that companies would go for to have as their title track. But nonetheless, I'm really impressed by it, and I'm really glad that they chose it as their title track. And then I listened to Home by Rai. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I thought this was a well-made project that made for a great listen. It's got a bit of a moody and subtle atmosphere, but it's relaxing and had great production. And then I listened to Gone Gold by Lexi Liu. I found out about Lexi Liu after her work with Riot Games for lending her voice to their new champion, Seraphine. As Seraphine, I did not really find her that exceptionally interesting. In fact, I was quite surprised that Riot Games chose her at all. It's no wonder that Liu shines best as herself in her own project. In her latest EP, she delivers a really compelling vocal delivery that her role as Seraphine couldn't sufficiently showcase. Her sizable discography does warrant a deeper dive, so I look forward to acquainting myself more with her work. And finally, I listened to Dots' untitled 2018 project. So I had listened to only 2 songs from this album last year before it was taken off of Spotify. Once I found that it had returned to Spotify, I finally listened to the whole thing. You might be wondering about its name and the project's name. The background is that the producers chose a handful of J-pop idols from various existing idol groups to participate in this project, but their identities are kept a secret. You don't know who these idols are, and you don't know which idol groups they came from. Whenever they performed live, the girls would be wearing cloths over their eyes to prevent you from recognizing them. You'd think that from their choosing specifically J-pop female idols, the project genre would be J-pop too. But no, it's predominantly rock and shoegaze. It's a really compelling project, but it's hard to find out more about them considering that they discontinued the project a while ago, and that any information about them would be in Japanese, and that they also don't have a name. That's right, they don't have a name. Fans either call them dots or points because they're listed as such in online spaces, or even just blank. Otherwise, it's just a series of periods. But anyway, I would recommend Ne, the first track. I think it's one of the best shoegaze rock songs I've ever heard. But the rest of the project is really good too. And then here's some releases that I just felt really indifferent to. Like, I didn't have anything to say about them at all, and I just found them, I guess, not interesting. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to talk about the songs of the month, but I will put them up on the screen so you guys can have a listen to them later on. And that's it for today. And thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a good month and see ya!